Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. And this short and quick video, I'm going to share with you guys 5 simple detailing mistakes that you need to avoid that can actually make you lose customers. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Don't not get strained but strained. Hey. Don't not get strained but strained. Don't not get strained but strained. You don't get shit straight, you don't straighten it.
So to begin the video guys, one of the first mistakes that I see a lot of detailers make, and even I made in the beginning of my detailing business, right? And even today it happens, but I'm more experienced, so I know not to come across this mistake, is over applying your tire dressing to the point where it slings, or in some cases drips down on the driveway. We had customers complain about maybe having too much tire dressing on their tire, and a lot of dirt sticks to it. We've had customers complain about the actual tire dressing dropping down on the actual driveway, and they don't like it because it stains their driveway, even though they're water-based dressings, right? So just be wary about that. And again, I would say just in every situation, every scenario, you have to adjust accordingly and go from there. The second detailing mistake, guys, I would say is moving things around the vehicle, whether it's the seats, whether it's the rear view mirror, center mirror. If you want to get to that windshield, right, you want to get every little inch of that windshield, so you move it to the side, move it to the right side, right? You want to make sure that you put all these things back to where it was as best as possible, right? So again, the customer wants their vehicle clean and detailed, but when they get back in the vehicle, they also want to make sure that they're going from point A to point B without any interruptions, if that makes sense. So them having to adjust it once again, not knowing where it was, they're not too sure if it was more to the right, more to the left, more centered, right? Some customers actually don't like that. Most of the time, customers don't care, they understand. They'll be like, hey, let me go ahead, I'll just fix it. It takes 2 seconds, right? But there's always gonna be that one customer who is gonna be like, hey, like, can you try not to move it? And it kind of sucks sometimes because we do need to adjust things to get, you know, the best detail possible, as far as cleaning maybe the windshield. Maybe you need to get a certain nook and cranny under the seats, things like that. But we have to just be as smart as possible and try to be as considerate as possible, as well as remind ourselves like, hey, let's try to get this back to the exact way it was from the beginning of the detail. So I understand that we need to get the job done again, but the less we do it, the better. Again, sometimes you just have to go with certain scenarios. Whatever scenario you're in, you have to just see how things play out, as far as like, in a certain situation, maybe I won't move anything and I'll try my best to get around it. And in a different situation, I'm like, oh, I know I can move things around and the customer will not care. But again, you will know your customers with time, and it'll be different if I'm dealing with somebody who I've worked with for, let's say, the past year versus somebody who's a first-time customer. You guys get the idea. So once again, the best thing to do is return everything the way it was before delivering the vehicle back to the customer. Real quick, guys, I want to take this moment to stress how crucial it is for me to efficiently complete detailing jobs when out in the field without getting set back by administrative tasks throughout the day. That is why I use and talk a lot about Jobber, a CRM and service management software that simplifies your business operations and customer communication. With Jobber, I can create estimates, send quotes, schedule appointments, invoice clients, and accept payments, all from the app on my phone without needing any prior software experience. One feature I do find very helpful from Jobber is the customer request form. So when a client asks us for pricing, I send them a custom form to fill out, which helps us understand what the job is going to entail or require, also allowing us to provide a more accurate quote, reducing the risk of underquoting from our end. And another feature I'd like to highlight is the ability to receive payments more quickly. With Jobber, you can anticipate faster payments through, again, Jobber payments, which enables you to accept credit card payments instantly. So if you want to learn more, click the link down in the description for a free 14-day trial and an exclusive 20% discount on your first 6 months when you subscribe. So thank you guys for watching. Now back to the video. And for detailing mistake number 3 to avoid, guys, when detailing out in the field, is not forgetting about cleaning the back windshield, right? So it seems silly, but it happens, and more specifically, in my opinion, on trucks. So, you know, we can go ahead and clean all the, we can clean the front windshield, we can clean the side windows on a truck, but then we have to jump on the actual bed to actually get the back of the trucks I've seen that happen too many times, even with me in the very beginning of my detailing business, detailing career. And even now, I see some detailers, they forget about it. And it seems silly, right? But I've actually seen customers write negative reviews on certain detailing businesses because they actually forgot to clear up the water spots at the end. Even though they washed it, they cleaned it, they just didn't dry it properly at the end, right? So you want to be wary about that. And it seems silly because, again, you're like, it's the back, nobody even looks at the back, but there's certain customers that they 100% care about it, as they should, right? But as detailers, we shouldn't be forgetting certain things. We try to make sure that everything gets clean, right, and everything gets the same as much attention as everything else does, if that makes sense. Otherwise though, you want to make sure that get all the windows, whether it's the front windshield and the back windshield. And even the, now that I think about it, the inside back windshield, a lot of people actually don't touch the back windshield. It kind of depends. Maybe if you're doing like your normal basic services, unless you're getting a full detail, then they'll go ahead and clean up that back windshield. But again, it depends what you're offering and what the customer is expecting from you, again, if that makes sense. Detailing mistake number 4 is adding a fragrance, a scent, or a smell inside the vehicle without asking the customer or getting their approval. So I understand that a customer should expect this because, you know, at the end of the day, we are a detailing service. We're here to clean your car, make it look better, make it smell better. But some customers are actually very delicate. You never know whether a customer has a health risk, or some customers just don't like smells in their vehicle. That is why it should be safe to ask the customer beforehand and get their approval. I want to say that most of the time customers are saying, yeah, go ahead, I want you to add a fragrance, I want my car to smell way better, right? But some customers, there's always going to be that one customer who states, hey, I don't like no smells, like my nose gets irritated real quick. You want to ask the customer beforehand and just make sure that they're okay with it, because at the end of the day, if you do a great detail, if you do a good job and everything looks great, right, but they come in and now they're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell them, or why didn't they ask me about a smell, a scent in my car? That kind of ruins the entire experience for them, and it's better to avoid that than, you know, by asking a simple question at the very beginning. It avoids so much problems. So take that into account and always ask the customer, or at least make the effort to ask the customer, like for example, hey, at the end of the detail, is it okay if we add a cherry scent or apple scent inside the vehicle? Maybe a customer will say yes. Maybe a customer will say, actually, I don't like any scent in the vehicle. Maybe a customer says, hey, I don't like cherry, but do you have maybe an apple scent? I hate cherries. You guys get the idea. And the 5th and last mistake, guys, when you're out detailing out in the field, is overspraying. I was thinking more of overspraying on the interior, but overspraying in general, whether it's the interior or exterior, right? I see this innocent mistake happen too often, and it happened to me a lot as well. And I've had complaints in the past, right? Where I've went and added a fragrance, whether it was a spray fragrance or maybe like I want to say a deodorizer, and I had to spray it towards the end of the detail, right? So I'm done with the interior, I'm done with the exterior. I just put in the paper floor mat. I'm making sure that everything looks neat and clean, everything is returned back to the vehicle, personal belongings, right? And I go ahead and add two sprays of fragrances, right? Back then, you know, being a newbie, I didn't think that, you know, I understand that it goes in the air, but all of that water from that spray has to drop down somewhere, right? So if I just clean the interior, it looks so nice, but then I go ahead and spray 2 sprays out in the air, all of that scent or spray goes onto the actual surface of the interior, and the customer comes in and they're like, okay, they're done with the vehicle, but then they see a lot of like overspray, and it kind of like ruins the experience. Like, hey, like I thought they were here to clean the vehicle, not, you know, make it somewhat worse, right? Especially with spotting. If you're in the sun and it's direct sunlight, it can become permanent, right? So you want to be wary about that. So again, I want to say, make sure that you guys are not overspraying. And just in general, I feel like this is more of an innocent mistake rather than when you're using an all-purpose cleaner or an interior cleaner and you're just spraying it on the actual surface, because at that point you should be more mindful on what you're doing. Whereas this is an innocent mistake, like you're just here to add a smell, add a scent to the vehicle, and all of a sudden you have like overspray on the interior where you didn't even think about that. Whereas if you're spraying it directly onto the surface, I mean, you're kind of asking for it, or if you don't clean it properly, you guys get the idea. Again, now the way we do it is we add our scents onto the floors, right? Whether it's the floor or like towards like the bottom feet area, that's where we go ahead and add our scents, our spray scents. But definitely, again, whether you're a beginner detailer or whether you're thinking about beginning, think about these things. I know they sound silly, I know some of this sounds like common sense, right? But again, these are just things to look out for and be aware of. And a quick bonus detailing mistake, guys, that you guys have to avoid, and now that I talked about it a little bit, I want to mention it again, is forgetting to return the customer's belongings back into the vehicle. It sounds silly, and it's like, it's common sense, right? But it happens. A lot of times when we are detailing vehicles, we come across cups, bags, books. You guys get the idea. We put it to the side, that way we're able to detail the vehicle as best as possible. But sometimes you can actually forget to put it back, and it's not until you get back home or wherever on your next detail, and it's whether you realize or the customer texts you like, hey, by the way, did you see a cup in there? It was a $50 cup, and this, like, it just gives you a bad look. Maybe even if it's cheap or inexpensive, first of all, like, it's irresponsibility in a way, and second of all, maybe they're thinking that you were trying to steal it, right? So you want to avoid that as best as possible. And again, it's silly, but it happens. Just remind yourself, be smart about it. For example, now what we do is I put most of the things, if possible, on the driver area. If I really feel like I'm gonna forget about it, I put it in the driver area. Why? Just because I know that at the end of the detail, I'm gonna have to leave, right? I'm gonna have to get in that driver seat, and if I open that driver door and I see customers' belongings there, I'm like, oh, this has to go back in the car, right? But again, that's being extreme. That's if you really need to be reminded. Otherwise, just put it to the side and you'll know, like, hey, let me put everything back into the vehicle now after our detail, which is kind of like, you know, a protocol now, or it's like you get so used to it now, so where everything is done, you do your final touches on the vehicle, now you're like, okay, now it's time to put everything back in the vehicle and text the customer, we're all finished up. And that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Again, these are silly, simple, common sense mistakes, but they're mistakes for a reason, and they happen. At the end of the day, we are human, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and if you did, make sure you smash the like button, leave a comment down below, and press that subscribe button, as well as hit the notification bell button to join my notification squad. Don't forget to watch another video here on the screen, guys. As always, guys and girls, see you on the next one.